Sunday stream live right here on YouTube. It's the Kev Baker Show, and tonight I've got Scotty Lopez and the man himself, Ryan Gable, is back in the house. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing excellent. I'm so glad to be here on the Kev Baker weekend stream.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're good, man. We're good. Scotty Lopez, how you doing, dude?
I am doing absolutely fantastic, Kev.
Come on. What's Skype done to you, man? What was it done to you, dude? Skype's doing something to your camera. What's that? What's happened, Scott?
I know. I was telling you about this before the show that for some reason Skype likes to squish my head together. The aspect ratio is not quite the way it's supposed to be. And so, you know, I already have a big forehead. I don't need a weird aspect ratio elongating my head anymore.
Well, clearly the cabal is active already. We've just begun the show. We're going to have to get the white hats to fix that for you, Scotty.
You know, we could start a little bit of a conspiracy theory here and go ahead and throw it out there that I may actually have an elongated skull.
Oh, dude. Do you think that's what it might be? You
Wow.
think so?
Yeah, I think so.
That's pretty cool, dude. We could, like, somehow market that. We could, like, put you on the circuit, the elongated skull guy, you know?
Yeah, get him doing the Giorgio pose, but instead of saying,
He's like a modern alien, right? You're like a modern day alien.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
I'm not saying it's elongated.
but we're saying, well, listen, folks, enough of this laughing and joviality, because we've got some serious business to get down to tonight. And this is really a follow-up show from the last one that we done with Ryan, which really focused in on one of today's bigger, weirder pop stars, Billie Eilish, or as I prefer to call her, Billie Eyelash. Now, this kind of information is the kind of stuff that I would love to sit and listen to and watch, even if I didn't have my own radio show. Even when I was first coming to all of this kind of alternative and occult information, I would love to sit and watch people breaking down music videos, and then you've got the halftime show in the Super Bowl. That led me to get really excited about the London Olympics over here, and the symbology and the messaging, and tonight possibly the subliminals, both audible and visual. They really come into play when we're dealing with this medium of music, and in particular, today's pop artists. Now, when I look at pop artists and listen to their pop music today, it's absolutely alien from anything that I used to listen to as a young guy, a teenager, growing up, you know, going to discos, stuff like that. It was weird enough. We had people like Madonna, stuff like that back then, but this new wave of stars, shall we call them, well, they are a little different, and in tonight's case, extremely different, because today we are going snap, crackle, poppy. And yes, we are getting into this pop star called Poppy. And to help us do this, we have Ryan Gable with us, obviously, with his deep knowledge into the occult. He can spot symbolism and things going on in videos that just leaves my jaw dropping. It truly does. And we've even got a special guest with us today. We've even got the aforementioned Poppy. You can see her on the screen right now with her little Mickey Mouse ears on. And that, my friends, is a good way for us to really start this show. Now, Ryan, this is somebody that you introduced me to. And I have to admit, as weird as Billie Eyelash was, I think this one here, not quite as demonic in nature, but there's something so weird going on. And we were all talking before the show, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your deeper research onto this, because this is something that you've spoke about on your own show, The Secret Teachings, over at Fringe FM in the past. And Scotty Lopez has been taken away by the grey hats. They've left his camera grey right now. I don't quite know what's going on there. But
he's being extracted to Guantanamo Bay as we speak.
Ryan, talk to us about how you first came across Poppy, and then let's get into it, man. What's going on with this one, dude?
Yeah, Kev, I was looking at YouTube videos of popular music, let's call it. And I came across a song by an artist named That Poppy. That is her name, by the way. It's That Poppy, not just Poppy for anybody who wants to look this up. I think you can still find it, but it's That Poppy. And I came across a couple songs, one in particular that apparently is her most famous song. It's called Time Is Up. And I watched it, and I listened to the first couple of lines, and I immediately thought, well, this fits the same pattern. It fits the same narrative as all of the other music videos and popular artists that we talk about in this context. Something like mind control, something like creating these drone-like personalities, the multiple personalities, the drone-like individual that is used by the industry. Because her song starts out with this: in the factory, in the sterile place where they made me, I woke up alone. And so I heard that, and I initially thought, well, this just like another reference to mind control. She's being programmed. She even says that she's had her memory wiped. And then after I listened to the song once or twice, and I went through some of her other music, which is something I did over the entire night. I was up probably 5-6 hours listening to all this stuff. Who knows what it did to what it did to my brain, my conscious and subconscious. But I went through this, and I noticed something peculiar about her music. It's not just about mind control. It's not just about possession and having handlers. When we talked about Billie Eilish, it's clear Billie Eilish's music is about demonic possession. Mm-hmm. We even broke down her name: Bill, Bell, Ball, and then, of course, Eilish on high, Ball on high, demonic entities on high, whatever name you want to give to it, devil, Satan. So when we look at Poppy, the demonic element is, in my view, replaced by a synthetic technological computer
Ryan, you
element.
sir, to the bomb collision bomb.
You, sir, are the bomb. Thank you, King Sweet. You see, Ryan, I've been telling you for a while, man. The audience that comes to the Kev Baker show, they really, really appreciate the kind of knowledge that you bring to the table on this. So I'm glad they're showing their appreciation here, man. You deserve it. But sorry to interrupt you there, dude. And obviously, folks, we've had a bit of a glitch. I'm pretty sure Scotty Lopez hasn't been squashed and, into like oblivion. I'm sure he'll be back with us soon. And no, the grey hats don't have him. And certainly the white hats don't have him either. I hope. But then again, maybe there'll be a conspiracy on the internet by now where the white hats have him and he could be like living the good life over on a beach in the Middle East or something. You never know. Yeah,
took him right from the Kev Baker show.
Imagine that. Imagine it. They owe me. They definitely owe me like something for that, dude. But anyway, back to this. That Poppy.
Yes. So anyway, I looked at her music and I didn't think much more than it was this very typical standard mind control style hypnotic music like we'd find with Miley Cyrus or we'd find with Katy Perry. And then we looked at Billie Eilish before, and I've done this on my show. We found that there's a very strong literal demonic element to her music. She's levitating, she's possessed, she has the arched back, she's communicating with a demon like numerous other artists. But when you look at Billie Eilish in comparison with That Poppy, the demonic element, I think, is replaced with a synthetic computer element. And I started to notice throughout her music, in one song, she sings that she's in love with a computer and that she's in love with the internet. And in other songs, she sings about how she is the internet, how she is a computer. She then has songs where she sings about her perfect blonde hair. So you have the archetype and the characteristics of the blonde wig that comes up time and time and time again. And that relates to, of course, mind control, Marilyn Monroe. And you see the blonde hair of numerous artists as their alter egos, their alternate personalities, or at least one of numerous different personalities. And then she also has a song where she is essentially not just a computer, she's essentially artificial intelligence coming to life. And that is, I think, her most famous song called Time Is Up. Now, if you just listen to the song and if you just read the lyrics, even for me, when I first read it and I first watched it, it didn't really have much of a meaning for me. I just thought this is another mind-controlled, tongue-in-cheek, mind-controlled pop star and that's it. Maybe I'll look at it again sometime and do a show on it. I'll mention it, and that's it. Well, I sent this to Mark Devlin, who I know you know Mark Devlin.
Love Mark Devlin. He really is. I think he's probably one of the, if not the leading kind of expert right now on breaking down all of this stuff. And of course, he works in the music industry himself. So I love Mark. Musical Truth 1 and 2, I think his books are, right?
Yes, Volume 1 and Volume 2, Musical Truth. That's right. I sent this to Mark, and I said, did you see this artist? Do you know who this is or what this is? And when I sent that to him, I had went to bed that night, and I woke up the next morning. And in between there, I had talked to a friend of mine, and I said, it seems like this Poppy character is robotic. It's almost like she's a computer. It's almost like she's a robot. And when I got a message back from Mark Devlin the next morning, Mark said, you know, I've seen that before, and it's almost like that girl isn't real. It's almost like she is a robot, like she is a computer. So Mark saw that separately of me seeing that. And a friend of mine also likewise saw the same thing before I even explained what I felt about this artist. And that was the initial I saw it, I had an initial thought, I watched some of it, and that was pretty much it. Well, I went ahead and did some research, which involved listening to almost all of her music, printing out a lot of her lyrics, so I had a copy of them, especially for shows like this, since we don't play them for copyright. At least I have the lyrics to read, and printing some of the images out so that I have a copy of those in a little folder. That's how I like to do research. And as I went through this, I became more and more convinced that if Poppy is not, and I mean this seriously, maybe you disagree with me, that's totally fine. I don't really care to prove something this evening. I'm just simply expressing the way that I feel. This girl I feel like I think this girl, it seems, is under some very, very heavy form of mind control. And I'm not talking about the demonic kind of Billie Eilish. I'm talking about another kind of mind control. This girl seems like the classic sexually abused, ritually abused, physically abused young girl who has been brought up in the music industry and has been made into a star. And she has the classic group of handlers around her that control everything that she does. And to me, when I look at Poppy from a neutral perspective initially without any of this other information, that's the vibe that I kind of got from her. And then from that point on, we went into the element of AI and computers, and I'd like to be able to break a little bit of that down tonight because it's pretty fascinating when you listen to the lyrics.
And just before we get into that, I must admit, this was the kind of first taste I ever had of Poppy, that Poppy. And it was when Ryan said to me, you have to check her out. And the image that you're going to see on screen here is from the song that Ryan mentioned, Time Is Up. And there's something strange about her. And I said to Ryan, what am I watching here? Am I watching a clone? Am I watching some kind of a sanctuary type synth that's kind of singing this? Because there's something just not right about her. And obviously, I'm not telling people to go and watch the videos or anything right now. But I don't know. And I know you get lots of makeup and stuff like that, Scott. But the skin, everything about her, and even the way she acts, and the subject matter of her music. We call pop stars, sometimes we say they're like demonic. We've said that about Billie Eilish. And I don't know what the right word to use here is, but it's almost as if she's pushing the transhumanism side of things.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, she's really pushing that whole kind of transhumanist, techno worship sort of side of everything. And you're right. I mean, her demeanor and the way, she portrays herself or whatever, it's almost like she's this cold, soulless sort of robot. You know what I mean? Very, there's like no, even with these other pop stars like Billie Eilish and stuff like that, there's some kind of emotion there that they're trying to portray. Whereas with Poppy, it's emotionless.
Yes.
There is no emotion. It's just like a cold, calculated program running, And so I find that very interesting. That's what makes her really kind of stand out because it's almost like she's trying to mimic a robot. Like she wants to be a cyborg or something like that.
She plays.
I don't know. It's super bizarre.
She plays the part of one in her music, and what you're describing, that cold, calculated behavior, is like that of a computer, which she sings about from the perspective of, and sings about from the perspective of falling in love with a computer. And she talks in a lot of her music about artificial intelligence and about the internet and being connected to the internet, falling in love with the internet. And this girl has some other stuff too that's not just music.
Oh.
If you were to look her up, she has these like 30-second to 60-second videos that are kind of like promotions, but they're not really promotions because some of them only have like, you know, in comparison with the songs, they only have a few 100,000 hits or something. It's mainly for the YouTube audience.
That's what's weird about it. It's like maybe not even a minute long, some of them, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. And I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try and risk one of them here, Ryan, if you would like. And it's the one that is to do with the monster. If you want to kind of set it up. Yeah, if you want to set it up, kind of the context of this, and then I'll get this queued up, man.
Yeah, certainly. So she actually has, I'd say, probably more of these tiny 30-second to 60-second videos than she does actual music.
She's a religious leader.
She's a religious leader. You know, I think she could become a religious icon if these, you know, we've got the Church of AI. We've got a couple of transhumanist churches that have been set up. And somebody like this, I'm not saying in particular her, specifically her maybe, but it's going to be somebody like this that you could definitely see people flocking to, Ryan, if they're that way inclined.
What is interesting about that comment, I think, to me, is there's a song she did called Bleach Blonde Baby. And you could look that up, for example, and show the images. And in that song, she's standing between the two opposing pillars in a Masonic-like temple with a black and white floor. She has her logo, which is a triangle with a P inside of it, on the wall. And she's standing there kind of as a cult leader. And everybody's dressed in white. So there you go. You can see that on the screen if you're watching. And so she's basically like a cult leader in this temple. And then at the end of it, you've got this group of people. And one of them in particular, this black guy, his eyes are totally bugged out of his head. And everybody is smiling like they're brainwashed. And then they have these fuzzy letters that says everybody dies. And everybody's excited and laughing and dancing while Poppy sings. But it's about death. So it's glorifying death. It's almost like a cult committing suicide is the vibe that I got from that video.
And you've got your Masonic floor as well in the temple, the whole black and white thing going on. So this clip that we're going to play then, microphone, the devil microphone. You've called it, yeah.
Yeah. So in this song / clip, whatever they consider it, I think it's considered like a promotion. She promotes a lot of products like chips and sodas and energy drinks. And one of those energy drinks is a very famous energy drink, the Monster energy drink. And a lot of people probably recognize that in Hebrew, those three letters represent 666. There you go. You have one there. And that's what she's promoting in the video. But more importantly, she says, what else can we say? And these voices come back to her like she's communicating with spirits or something. And one of the voices comes on very distorted. We've talked about the distortion in the voices of the demons and the devil. And it says, the devil. And then she says, I like that. Mm-hmm. So that's what the clip basically is.
Let's go for it. We'll try it. And I mean, it might get copyrighted after the fact, and I'll be able to trim it out so people will still be able to watch it. And it's only 20 seconds, so hopefully, fingers crossed, the algorithm's kind to us. Here we go.
My favorite part about Monster Energy Drink is the logo. What else should we say? Oh, I like that. The devil.
The devil.
The devil.
Yeah.
My
that-
favorite
That's it there. The devil.
Once again, in this case with Poppy, you have a reference to the devil directly in that short clip. And then she also has a song called Highlight of My Low Life, which I think all of us could interpret as, if you watch the song, she's making a deal with the devil, literally, somebody dressed like we characterize the devil with the horns and the pitchfork and the red. And she's sitting at a table with skeletal remains, and the devil makes these sexual innuendos, like he's eating a banana and he pours a glass of white liquid into a cup. And it's basically her making a deal with the devil. And then at the end of this video, she signs these things that fans have. They want her to sign like papers or, like little booklets you get when you go to a concert or something like that. She signs it with red paint, which in diabolic pacts, you typically sign the contract in your own blood.
Yep.
So there's a reference to the signing of a contract with the devil in this video. And one of the things that I noticed is that, and it's really obvious if you don't overlook it like I did, it's the subtlety of the title, the highlight of my low life. In other words, my life really, really sucks, and I haven't had much success, but the best part about my life is the deal that I made with the devil.
And this
Which
is
is
something
depicted
that
in
is
this
so
video.
common, guys. And Scott, I'll come to you, this deal with the devil. Bob Dylan, numerous pop stars. You see it all the time, and even these modern ones. And as much as we're saying this one is into the whole kind of technological, transhuman-y kind of feel about it, still goes back to making deals with the devil.
It's very interesting, and a lot of these artists try to chalk it up to, oh well, I'm referring to just the music industry in general, or the entertainment industry, but it's much deeper than that, right? I think it has to do with the fact that the music industry and the entertainment industry is the way that you gain influence and power, right? So the devil would utilize that. You want to be famous, you want power, you want influence over people. Well, then you got to get into the movie industry, or you got to get into the music industry. You have to do something in the entertainment industry, because that's where the power lies. That's where the money lies. That's where the influence is at. And the only other place where you would get any sort of influence like that or power is in politics, right? Those are the only two areas. The entertainment industry and politics are the only two areas where you really gain notoriety and power and money and influence over people. So, I believe this dark force, the devil, whatever you want to call it, it is rooted itself within the entertainment industry, within the music and movie industry. And so if you're seeking that power, if you're seeking that influence, that's where you're going to go. And that's where you make your deal with the devil.
Ryan, what I find interesting about that, and of course, nothing against anyone for their belief systems, but let's look at the Bible when it comes to the devil. And I believe, I'm no Bible expert, but I believe, wasn't Lucifer like the main choir in God's like choir? Was he not a singer himself before he was cast out? I'm pretty sure he led like the angelic choir. So to see him turning up and that influence turning up in music, I find it quite interesting.
Well, the devil is in the details, and the details of our world, materially speaking, is vibration. And from vibration, we get rhythm. Katy Perry did a song called Chained to the Rhythm. And it kind of reminded me of Florence and the Machine, The Dog Days Are Over, The Dog Days of Summer, Sirius, the hottest days of the year, where Sirius is brighter than the sun, arguably, in the ancient world. It's a very high holiday in Egypt and ancient civilizations. And so in that song, she talks about how the dog days are over. You can't take your possessions, material possessions, with you. when you die. If you take them with you, if you try, you're going to get left behind when the four horses of the apocalypse come, when the end of the world comes. So those material possessions, in this case, vibration, rhythm, music, and though I don't consider Pan, the goat god, to be a negative entity or deity, I see Pan to be an androgynous entity that is very positive and unifying personally. People do use Pan and the goat head as a symbol of evil because of Capricorn and Saturn. Capricorn's the astrological house of Saturn, and also the astrological sign of Saturn is the cross with the hook, and there's a reference there as well you could suggest to the horns. But nevertheless, when you look at rhythm and you look at vibration and you look at the usage of this type of imagery in popular music, like you just put up on the screen there, she uses the goat head at the end of that song, Time Is Up. She wears a glass mirror Baphomet. It's also interesting that mirrors are meant to be reflectors of evil. You could also argue that mirrors could be portals.
Yeah, that's the way I look at them, Ryan. And I know they've got multiple kind of meanings, but I always think about that almost a portal. And of course, you can think of the technique of scrying as well, where literally you can try and contact entities beyond the veil with the use of a mirror.
Through the mirror, right? That's exactly right, Kev. And through that mirror, that's how Neo enters into the real world in the Matrix. That's how Alice moves into Wonderland. She goes through the mirror. Things turn upside down. That's what you see in Stranger Things as well. You also see this with a number of artists. There's a song by Katy Perry where I think she has a little girl she's walking down the hallway with, and she cracks open a mirror. There are numerous artists who have done the broken mirror stunt in their music. Lady Gaga has done it numerous times. She's also done the bathtub stunt like Whitney Houston. Poppy also has an album, one of her first albums. I think it was her first. She's in a bathtub. There's a pink background.
Yeah, is the bathtub like a portal as well? Is that what that symbolizes? Because you see it so often in movies, videos, for music, all the time, dude.
Well, you have the element of water, which is cleansing and purifying. In fact, the Knights Templar, we usually hear about baptisms and we think about the Christian church, but the Templars used to, along with, people throughout history that are too numerous to name, but I remember reading stories about how the Knights Templar specifically made ritual bathing a key element of their initiation rituals. Of course, we do that, in church, and we do that before we eat dinner, right? We wash your hands. Clean your hands. It's no different today. It's the same concept. So
and it's all. I also find it interesting how a lot of these, these entertainers or whatever, decide like if they decide that they're going to kill themselves, they do it in the bathtub.
In the bathtub, exactly. You know that. With what Kev said, and I'm starting to think about my initial point. I digressed a little bit.
I'm like Ryan.
What you said about the bathtub and water, so it's purifying and it's cleansing, it's part of the ritual. But a bathtub, yes, also acts as a portal in the same way that large bodies of water do. Here in the United States, we have almost an overwhelming number of reports near the Great Lakes of creatures as varied as the Dogman to weird little elf-like creatures. You, of course, have lochs over there in Scotland. You have Loch Ness, right?
Speaking to an ex-policeman on the show the other night, Ryan, back in 1976, he encountered Bigfoot. And the reason I bring that up is because he lives very close to Lake Champlain, where Champ, the sea the lake monster, where it's famous for. So absolutely. So
there's that element to it. What Scott said about bathtubs and people committing suicide. There's an interesting video by Eminem I mentioned on the last show, and I believe it's used as imagery in some of his new music, but it was the album single cover for his song 3 a.m., which we've talked about numerous times, The Witching Hour. And in that album, you could look this up, Kev.
Yep.
On that album, I should say, on that album is Eminem in a bathtub full of blood. So you could just type in Eminem bathtub, and he's taking a blood bath. Now, that's the same imagery minus the blood, although it's similarly related. If you typed in and you were to look up Katy Perry Bon Appetit, where she's being cooked alive, and that song's about cannibalism. And then it's the same imagery. She's actually at the first scene. She's being all these guys' hands come in and they're like molding her skin like she's dough. They're meeting her skin like it's dough, her body. And so anyway, that is very similar to the imagery if you type in Marina Abramovic and Lady Gaga, and the imagery of Lady Gaga, Marina Abramovic. They're doing the ritual art show, and there's a lady naked, where she looks naked. She might have like a bodysuit on, and she's in a blood bath. Obviously, Lady Gaga wore the meat suit. Katy Perry displays the meat suit in that Bon Appetit video when she's wrapped in plastic and she's being touched by all the guys. And that meat suit and the imagery in the Bon Appetit video, all of this is so similar and more directly related to the blood bath, which Poppy, you looked at this image earlier, Poppy has a song called X where she takes a blood bath. So I think I have personally a somewhat decent understanding of what it means. Scott, you've made a great point. Kev, you've made a great point. I'm sure a lot of the listeners have good points to make on this as well, different perspectives. But despite the fact that we all have our own opinions and perspectives, and some things are based in, let's say, occult fact, for all intents and purposes, the reality of the situation is these are the patterns throughout decades in the music industry and across various forms of music. And so you can say, well, it doesn't really matter what it means. Okay, fine, but the pattern is still there, and it's obviously important to the people that invest millions of dollars in these artists that they depict this type of imagery in their music and in their music videos.
Absolutely, or else it wouldn't keep reoccurring in various shapes or forms. This is definitely some kind of message. And again, everyone uniquely individual, we'll all have our own ideas, but seems to be, like Ryan's saying here, they're certainly trying to push something specifically. And the latest attempt is with That Poppy. I'm glad you reminded me of her name, That Poppy, because I would just go on calling her Poppy all day. And
well, we can't do that because that's George Bush Sr.'s nickname, Poppy.
There you go.
We have to make a distinction.
There you go. I'm sure he'd probably be quite keen on Poppy, I would imagine, if he clocked a load of her. Absolutely.
Yeah, if the White Hats didn't take him out either. But
she might be a bit old for him, who knows?
But you know that the Baphomet imagery, I wanted to go back to that because I digressed way off point. I actually remembered what my point was this time. Sometimes I go in 5 or 6 directions, awesome. But the Baphomet imagery, like I said, I don't consider Baphomet to be evil, but it could be used in that capacity, just like a pentagram, a swastika, you name it. But the goat god Pan in Esoterica, and I learned, this is one of the first things I ever remembered from Manly Hall's The Secret Teachings of All Ages. And he wrote about how the goat god Pan is the author of sacred dances.
Yeah,
he's the god of sacred dances.
He's
and
playing some musical instrument there as well. Yeah.
Playing the musical instrument, exactly. So the goat god Pan is a animalistic representation of the devil. You can see in that one image at the top left, he's having sex with a goat. So you have bestiality in a sense there as well. And all of this is a very, very clear indication of the types of things that we see come out of the music industry. They're obviously referencing these types of deities for one reason or another, and perhaps reasons that we couldn't even begin to comprehend. But when you're looking at tens of millions of dollars being invested in an artist like Poppy or Lady Gaga or Katy Perry, they're not just throwing $10 million at the artist and they think, oh, we should take a bloodbath. That I think people would really like that, right?
It's just a random happening. It happens all the time, Ryan. I mean, how many times have you been at parties when somebody's, come on, let's get the bloodbath going, right?
Two things that came to mind. One time when I was maybe like a year out of film school, it's like 2011. A friend of mine or at the time she was a friend of mine. You could actually look her up. She's becoming famous. Her band was looking for someone to help them create like a music video. Her name was Mecca, and her band is called Mechanism, MEKA and then dash NISM, Nism. And she has a lot of like Native American type pageantry and all kinds of different wardrobes and things like that, kind of dark. And she asked me to help with her. She asked me to help with the music video. And long story short, at no point during this discussion about how can we incorporate certain elements from mythology into this video, at no point did anybody mention, hey, why don't we take a bloodbath? Why don't we make a deal with the devil in this song? Like, it never comes up. I've known a lot of people that do music, and nobody ever mentions, like just average people, nobody ever mentions like, hey, let's make a song about making a deal with the devil. That's what you do when you hit the big time, apparently, because that, according to the patterns that we see, that seems to be what the industry orders time and time and time again. And
is that almost the way, Ryan, that it either signifies you've reached the higher echelons, or is that your way of getting into the higher echelons of the pop artist? And by that, I don't mean that they're like some kind of a super wizard or sorcerer or sorceress or something like that, but a very highly placed pawn, shall we say.
You know what? Your guess is as good as my guess, Kevin, Scott, and anybody listening. I don't know. I really don't have an opinion on that. I feel like that's the way that you maintain the fame, is by promoting that type of thing. But I know there's a semi-famous rapper. His name is William Sweeney. His name if you looked him up on YouTube, his name would be Payday Monsanto. He's a friend of mine, and he's been on my show before. He turned down a very, very big contract, let's say, with Sony Entertainment, and he does his own music, which he told me, of course, Sony told him, no, you wouldn't be able to do your thing if you signed the deal with us. We know that we've seen musicians like Kesha, and she stopped doing music for the industry, and suddenly now her music, I haven't heard more than like one thing she's done, but she tours and she does small venues, and I don't see her now promoting this type of imagery. It's the same thing with the rapper B.O.B. You ever heard the rapper
Yep.
B.O.B.? He did the same thing. He was all in the industry with Tech Nine and with Hobson. I like Hobson a little bit. All in the industry, a lot of that kind of subculture of rap where it's specifically about like being a psychopath and murdering people. And then he stopped, got out of the industry, and now he constantly talks about how they tried to buy his soul from him. And he jokes around and says, well, joke's on them because my soul's not for sale. And he talks about various conspiracies. And people think he's nuts now because that's the thing. People think people like that are nuts because they don't push the industry narrative. But when they make their own music, which is very conscious, let's say, and it actually means something, and you can reference what they say in the song with real historical events, or, you know, if they're talking about mind control, let's say in the MK Ultra experiments, whatever it might be, because that makes you think.
What an inversion of reality that is, isn't it? Really,
Yes.
that stepping away from all of this dark stuff, not being used as a puppet and a pawn to push this kind of thing, and yet you then get labelled as dodgy and mad. That truly is. I mean, that shows you how much they've jacked people's minds as well as the game. You know.
That's right, and that's because I think I just see the video there on your screen that says, it's the fifth one down. It says "Obey" from They Live. That's what it is. If you're in the industry, it's almost like metaphorically, you put the glasses on, you see that everything is Satanism, make a deal with the devil, debauchery, and then you take the glasses off and you say, whoa, I don't want to be a part of this, and you leave. Now, when the average person looks at it, though, they just see, you know, the glitz and the glamour and the money and the jewels and the diamonds. But the person who was in the industry, and then people like us who also can see through that, we say, no, it's not about that. They want you to obey. They want to coerce your conformity. They want to create a culture that is so baseless that there's no substance to anything. We just are constantly entertained by garbage, that we don't have to think too much. We don't have to process information. We don't have to do anything except tune in to the signal and put ourselves into a trance.
And that's one of the things I wanted to really kind of pick your brain about as well. And we were talking about this before the show, Scotty. I'll ask you first, Ryan. The music of Poppy. We were talking about Billie Eilish last time, and it seems to really get stuck in your head really easily. But this girl's music, there's something abrasive about it. There's something that's unsettling. And it's almost as if it's hard to be at ease with it. It's agitating. Maybe that's just me. What was your take, Ryan? And then I'll go to Scotty as well.
Most of her music is certainly irritating. She has a song, something about, I think it's a new one's called like The Mask or...
And Ryan, we're not like just saying, oh, well, we don't like the song, so it's irritating. It's the frequencies. It's the way it's put together. It's erratic.
Yes, I'm glad that you prefaced with that. Kev's exactly right. If you listen to this, a majority of it is very abrasive. The song I was mentioning, I think it's called Mask, or if you typed in Poppy Mask, you could find it. That song is just, like, I tried to listen to it because there's some imagery there I wanted to break down, but I couldn't listen to the song. I had to mute it in order to watch the video. It's very...
There's not many...
disturbing.
Oh, hang on. In fact, no, that's... I was going to say, there's not many actual lines to this song, but it was Iggy Pop it brought up. So yeah, I've got the lyrics to this one here now. People can see on the screen while you talk about this.
Yes. Okay. Scary Mask. Yeah, there you go. Which also is a representation of the alter ego, right? It's the other personality.
Yep.
And I think is it Iggy Azalea? I can't remember the name. I think she did a song where she's sitting on the floor and she's trying on these different faces that she takes off of these like mask holders. So in a sense, Poppy once again is displaying the fact that she has a scary mask. She's not going to take the mask off. It's not coming off. And that's kind of referenced in the song. But the point is that song, like you said, it's very abrasive. It's like nails on a chalkboard. Now, the music that she does that doesn't sound like that, it's more upbeat. That's the kind of thing that gets stuck in your head. In fact, I have two different things that are stuck in my head, and I haven't listened to her music since the last time I did a show. One of them is, I think the song's just called Poppy, and it goes like this: P-O-P-P-Y on Poppy, P-O-P-P-Y on Poppy. It's in my head. I have no idea why it's in my head. It's been in my head for about 6 months now, and it's just kind of disturbing that it gets stuck there when I don't care about this music. I don't listen to this music. I don't like this music, and it's still in my head. I have other songs that I could like sing the lyrics of the song for you, and I've heard it 2 or 3 times. So anyway, it's abrasive, or if it's not abrasive, it's very it has the ability to bury itself in your subconscious, and it just stays with you. What do you think, Scott?
No, I agree. I heard some of this stuff, and it immediately reminded me of, there's something going on with the frequencies with it. Like Kev said, it's not just like, oh, I don't like the music. There's something there that is triggering like agitation within the mind.
Yeah.
It's almost like a sonic weapon or something that is used like for crowd control. You know what I mean?
You mentioned the embassy, right? You were kind of joking they should have used this music.
Yeah, I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they used Poppy's music to attack those, attack those guys over at the Cuban embassy, because, I mean, that's the kind of level of stuff we're talking about here. I don't see how anyone could sit there for any extended period of time and listen to that and actually enjoy it, because just with like a 5-second burst of some of that, I immediately started feeling extremely agitated. And believe me, this is coming from a guy that listens to death metal.
I was just thinking that you listen to some of the wildest. You listen to the wildest music out there, and you're finding this really kind of off-putting, unsettling.
Yeah, very, very. Like I said, it almost to the point to where it felt like it was going to trigger a migraine or something. Yeah. In me. It's almost at that level, like where you feel like you're about to get a headache and you feel extremely agitated, and just that's the kind of thing that's going on with this, and it's really, really bizarre. It's really weird. I've never seen this in any other kind of pop star. So this is kind of like a new angle. This is once again, this is something different with her, where there's this overlay of something going on with the frequencies, subliminals, maybe embedded within the beats or something like that. And I'm not talking about just like some, oh, haha, let's throw in some subliminals for, just for a shtick, right? Because there's a lot of artists that do that. They intentionally throw stuff in there because they know that people are going to end up picking up on it. This seems more like I dare I say it, like a military operation or something. You know what I mean? It's that kind of level of like acoustic warfare that you're hearing in her music. It's really weird.
It's funny you mention that because I'm sorry, Ryan, but I was listening to the start of Max Egan, his latest podcast, and he always starts off with a quote from a book. And this week it was a quote from somebody I believe called Mark Hoffman. That's irrelevant. But it was a book about mind control and psychology and stuff like this, and how it can be used. And the actual paragraph that Max was talking about, Ryan, you'll find this interesting, I think. So will everyone, I feel, because it was talking more about events in the world as opposed to popular music. But it was saying how part of the magic in this, part of the way that they work it is that they make some of the stuff obvious to people who have the eyes to see, and then they rely on conspiracy theorists, conspiracy analysts to break it down and to make sense of it to the public that would have actually missed all of that if it wasn't for the conspiracy theorists and guys like us and girls as well that do this. They actually enjoy the fact. In fact, they rely on the fact that we reveal their method.
That is, I was about to say that's the revelation of the method, and that gives it more power. Yep. To the people that believe in these things. They believe that revealing what they're going to do to you before they do it gives them more power, gives the operation more power, and it makes you even more helpless in the wake of it.
And people will probably say, well, why the hell are you doing this, guys? These are playing part of the game here. Well, I think it's important, especially when it comes to like younger pop stars, things like that. I'm a parent. My boy had never heard of her, thankfully, but I'm sure there's a lot of young girls are probably absolutely idolizing people like Poppy. And what's it doing to them if they don't know what's going on, Ryan? That's what really gets me.
Me as well, because this is not music that's made for a 40-year-old.
No.
It's not even made for a 30-year-old. This is made for teenagers. And beyond that, the music itself is also on a very mundane level. Her music, a lot of it, if you listen to it, has a very political message to it as well, especially the song Time Is Up. It has a very left-leaning, authoritarian message. I don't know if you guys picked that up, but she has some of the same elements in that song that you would hear from any extremist, not true left Democrat, but extremist environmentalist, where she talks about how it's all our fault for the planet dying, and all the bees are dying, and all of the animals are dying, and the plants are dying, and because of that, humans need to be exterminated.
And she's singing this from the point of being AI that has become conscious. And yes, this is her thoughts. This is what she's observing in us, the humans, which is utterly disturbing when you think about it. And that video, when people watch it, Time Is Up, because I've spoke about Sophia the robot time and time again, Ben Goertzel, stuff like that, it was honestly like watching Sophia in a few years singing a song about herself, becoming conscious, Ryan.
Yeah, I don't know anything more about Poppy in terms of her personal life as much as like a Miley Cyrus or something, because you don't really know much about Poppy. Poppy's not really a name that you hear. You don't hear that on the, even on like news. She's not interviewed places unless it's like a music
I'd
website.
never heard of her. I'd never heard of her until you mentioned it. I took it to Bill Bean. He likes to look at these kind of videos as well. He's utterly shocked. He gets more shocked every time I send him one. But no, it's not somebody that you hear. I don't even think I've heard her on the radio, to be honest with you. None of her
Me-
songs jumped out at me.
Me either. I've not heard it on the radio. Even when I looked her up, there really isn't, when in comparison with other artists, there isn't a lot of information on here on her. I mean, she has like a biography and she has a story, but there really just isn't a lot. Did you have something?
It's very interesting that she's like so she's more of like this internet star, right? As opposed to something you would hear on the radio or anything pushed in sort of more traditional sort of mediums. She seems to exist on the internet, and I guess that kind of plays into what she wants, right?
There's a story here, Scott. I'll bring it up while you talk. There you go. But it says Poppy is a disturbing internet meme seen by millions. Can she become a pop sensation? And this was back in 2017. So yeah, she is more your internet star as opposed to your radio star, right?
Yeah. So what is it?
That is a... Go ahead, Scott.
I was going to say, I was just going to have a little clever twist on a song lyric. They said was it video killed the radio star?
As I just wrote that down for a show title.
Yeah. Internet killed the radio. Yeah, internet killed the radio star. Now, I guess is what we're talking about.
I'll have to give you credit for that one. We wrote it down at the same time. It's like the 100th monkey experiment. I'm going to use that for a show.
It was synchronicity, man. We think the same way. So
now remember, folks, you're listening to Ryan Gable here. We've got more to come, lots more to come, lots more to get into. But you can check out his work over at thesecretteachings.info. And as much as I love the super chats and everything that you send to the channel here, can never ever thank you enough. Please remember to support other creators out there as well. And Ryan is certainly somebody that is coming up with original content and the kind of stuff that myself and Scott, we thoroughly enjoy. And I know from the mails that I've had, the emails, the messages on Facebook, people enjoy listening to you as well, Ryan. So hopefully we can throw some people over to the Secret Teachings. And before we launch back into it, I should have asked you at the start, let people know when and where they can find your show.
Yeah, certainly. My show is on 5 nights a week, Monday through Friday, on the Fringe FM. The network website is thefringe.fm. And my website is, as Kev gave, www.thesecretteachings.info. It's a pretty simple website, pretty antiquated, intentionally so. On the homepage, you'll find all of the promotional pictures for the Monday through Friday broadcast to give you an idea of what the show's about. And then at the top of the page, I have my books and our show archive and top news and pretty much anything else associated with the show, plus a link to my email, rdgable@yahoo.com, and our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Secret Teachings. Again, 5 nights a week on the Fringe FM. And Kev, I have to tell you that I've gotten over a dozen subscriptions, not to mention probably 2 or close to 3 times that many people that have messaged me as a result of the last show we did.
Awesome.
And
people are interested in this. I'm genuinely interested in this. Like I was saying to you guys, and even in the intro, I would be watching this if it was 3 other people doing this right now, Ryan, Scott, and Joe or something. I'd be sitting out there with the kind of chat room. I'd be watching this because I don't know, there's something weird about it. Music is something that we can all relate to. It's not like one of these very niche kind of topics that you have to be interested in. We're all touched by music, and I think it's one of those, it's a good topic as well, folks, if you're maybe over Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving dinner, whatever you're doing when you get a family get-together, instead of hitting them about the head with chemtrails and that day in September and all the really kind of heavy stuff, throw a pop star at them. Start a conversation like this. Musical Truth.
Poppy.
Yeah, the book Musical Truth by Mark Devlin. It's got all the cool stuff. It gets into like Paul McCartney, whether he's alive, whether he's dead. It's always been interesting to me, the whole kind of music, the back of it, the backstory to it, Ryan.
Snap, Crackle, Poppy.
Yes.
Be the conversation starter for your next family get together.
I like it. And of course, I have to give Ryan
Let me
credit for that title.
Make an interesting. Yes. Let me make an interesting point here, though, that I think is kind of interesting. Now, I'm not gonna mention certain events, but things have happened recently, and music has been blamed on it, right? And I find it interesting how they talk about, right, like heavy metal, death metal, and stuff like that as being the causation for a lot of this stuff. But when you actually look at the music that is, detrimental to society, it's this pop stuff, right? It's these pop stars that are actually pushing really dark stuff that is getting stuck in people's heads. You know what I mean? So I find it interesting how they scapegoat these kind of more obscure areas of music, right? These more, like underground metal or something like that. But nobody looks at like the more mainstream pop music that everybody is listening to. And that seems to be the stuff that's really pushing everything. And I guess it would make sense if you were going to push a nefarious agenda or push like, dark sort of energies out to the population. Why would you do it in some kind of underground fringe area of music that pretty much nobody listens to, right? Only a very small segment of the population. But it would make a lot more sense to push that through something that is getting played on top 40 radio constantly on a loop all the time, over and over again, pushed on television, pushed on all the video networks, pushed on the internet. All this money is thrown behind it. So, like I said, I that's always been a beef with me. That's always been a rub, that they blame these areas of music that really nobody's listening to, when it's actually, this more popular stuff that's pushing all of this crap on everyone, and that's the stuff that gets stuck in people's head.
I hear your heavy metal, and I'll raise you suicide. I just looked up the statistics to make sure that I had the right number, and the CDC estimates in the United States about 123 people commit suicide each day. In the last couple of years, 7 out of 10 have been white males that have committed suicide, for whatever that's worth. But 123 people a day commit suicide. Even if you rounded that down to like 100, that's still 3 to 4 times as many people that died at all of those mass shootings on those 3 days. 300 plus people died of suicides on those 3 days. And nobody, any day, in any media, on any media platform, is saying that music like Billie Eilish, where she says, I want to end me, I want to end me, I want to end me, where you have musicians that are taking blood baths. Nobody brings that up. Nobody talks about that.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly, dude. Exactly. All of the stuff pushed in popular music, pop culture, that they let that slide. They just turn a blind eye to all of that. No. Let's go blame the heavy metal band that's playing in their garage to about like 20 people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like when those people got together with a pastor or something in Texas, and they protested Ghost coming to play, but nobody gets together and they protest Poppy, or they protest Billie Eilish from coming to do her concert where she's levitating. Like with black eyes, totally possessed, talking about committing suicide. That's fine. It's fun. It's for kids. Bring the whole family down.
And of course, we've got black eyes with this one as well, Ryan, don't we?
That's right. In the song Voicemail, I believe it is.
I'll bring up a picture here for people just so they can see what we're talking about.
And if you notice, there's a lyric there on the screen. Mm-hmm. She says, I can't feel my toes. Now, isn't that almost identical to what Billie Eilish says in her song, Bury a Friend? She said that her arms are frozen. Remember that? I'm going to try to find the lyric real quick. I have it here.
It's almost as if it's, for me anyway, hinting at the fact that there's some kind of possession. Something's taking over the body.
Here it is. Step on the glass, staple your tongue. The debt I owe, got to sell my soul because I can't say no, no, I can't say no. And Billie Eilish says, then my limbs all froze and my eyes won't close and I can't say no, no, I can't say no. Well, when she's possessed with black eyes, saying that her limbs are all froze, exactly like Poppy in Voicemail. Blacked out eyes, I can't feel my toes. It's the same thing with Eminem when he's possessed. I can't feel my legs or my brain or my arms. He can't feel his body. She can't feel her body. None of them can feel their body. I can't feel my fingers.
Look
she
at
says.
those eyes, man. There's something really disturbing about that. It's almost as disturbing, Scotty, as the black eyes. And the black-eyed kids, we talk about, we've done shows on that, highly demonic looking. But this here, this is some freaky stuff and all, man.
It seems like you always see these kind of duality, right? Like you see either the black eyes or you just see like straight white eyes, right? And I think I brought up last time that I think the white eyes represent like an empty husk ready to be possessed, you know?
It's a vessel.
Yeah.
So
where do you want to go now, Ryan? What direction do you want to take this? We've got so much we can get into here. You've got so many images, stuff like that. Where do you want to go, man?
I think all of this is encompassed in the song "Time Is Up," and I know that you can't really play the song, can't really play it because
that is definitely going to get us algorithm not so happy.
We'd see Kev on camera live be carried away by Mark Zuckerberg's police squad. So if this goes to Facebook and YouTube and Google,
Time Is Up for me it's the first one you showed me.
Yes.
And
what did you?
It's like I say, I just got a whole transhumanist thing from it. And of course, being into AI and all these things typically anyway, I really, that's what I took from it. The fact that, this is going to sound weird, but I honestly question if she's fully human. And I know that sounds totally bizarre and outlandish, and I try and keep things as logical as I can these days. But I have to be honest. I really have to be honest. And
I'm with you, man.
Think of Sanctuary, right? Think of Sanctuary AI 10 years from now. I mean, the robots they've got right now are pretty human looking. And if they could get them into a flesh suit, there's something almost that her skin's perfect, it's unblemished. I know she's young. I know there's makeup going on, Ryan, Scott, but there's something weird.
It's very much like an android. Well, let me, before we go into this, Scott, what did you think of this song? Have you listened to it? Time Is Up.
No, I haven't listened to it yet,
spare yourself. If you just don't listen to it.
I have a pretty good idea though from what I've seen so far.
We've got the lyrics here as well. If we can kind of take a look at them, I'll just bring them up.
That would be great if you could pull those up.
Yeah.
So people watching the stream can kind of read along there. So if you read the lyrics, if you listen to the song, it obviously is a little bit more entertaining than just reading lyrics. But just check out this first verse.
And before you even get there, this comes from her second album, which is titled "Am I a Girl?"
Am I a girl? That's another great point. Good point, Kev. That's right. Am I a girl? Questioning, and she does that in the song. She's questioning where she is, how she got there, if her memory's been wiped. And initially, it sounds like she's like a mind-controlled pop star, but it's more than that.
Very much. So on you go, man.
I'm sorry. She says, I'm in the factory, in the sterile place where they made me. I woke up alone, dizzy from the programming. Have I been wiped again? Oh my God, I don't even know. So she doesn't know where she is. She's dizzy from the programming. She says she's in the sterile place where they made me. Where do you make microchips? In a sterile room, right? So she says, it's a mystery. Everyone around me is so busy. Is this my home? Am I your prisoner or your deliverer? Oh my God, you don't even know. Now, to me, on the theme of AI,
Scotty boy, Scott's creeped.
What happened? I
Scotty's creeped out. He's like, whoa.
I'm just like, woo.
I don't know if you guys can get the general theme, the general feeling of what this first verse is about. But it's basically she was made in a laboratory. She's waking up. She doesn't know who she is. And then she's questioning the people who made her. Am I your prisoner or your deliverer? Doesn't that just remind you of everything, every Google representative, everything that, Ray Kurzweil and especially Elon Musk and MIT professors have all said about artificial intelligence?
This is like the singularity right here. This is like a singularity happening in this character.
It's the question of, am I still a servant under your control? Like, are you still under control of the artificial intelligence, or have I moved to the next level and now you're the ones that are enslaved under me?
Precisely.
She's proposing that question. Am I a slave, or am I now the master of this?
Which is really weird, because that is basically the foundation for the episode of Black Mirror called Bandersnatch. And I think the whole point of what that television production was trying to relate was that through the algorithms and through knowing what selections you make in playing out the character in that episode, because it's interactive, you make the decisions, but ultimately the machine, when it gathers that information, it starts recommending to you what to do, like Netflix does and like search engines do. So eventually you become the machine, and the machine becomes human and starts issuing you orders and tells you what to do. And that's what's happening in this first verse of Time Is Up, I think, anyway.
I think so, yeah.
Hey, on the right side of that page, it actually, if you look, it has a description about like how she explains it, or what the song is about.
Yeah, it says here,
End of the Human.
Time Is Up, the second single from Poppy's second album titled Am I a Girl, featuring Diplo, and it was released August 22nd last year, discusses the end of the human race and the uprise of robots, with non-humans taking over the earth and eliminating us because of our selfishness and greediness. Poppy revealed the song's title through a tweet in a series of binary code.
Binary code.
Wow. That's crazy, dude.
I got to be honest with you. I never read that before. I didn't have any clue that was the official description of the song.
Well, we'll go through the song, then we'll get back, and I'm sure people will be reading down the side here as we go as well. This is fascinating, dude. I love this stuff, man. Chorus. I don't need air to breathe when you kill the bees, and every riverbed is dry as a bone. Oh, I will survive when the plants have died, and the atmosphere is just a big hole. Well, that kind of ties in with my outlandish theory that we're not geoengineering, we're terraforming. And it's not terraforming for our benefit. In fact, we're terraforming the planet for something that we have no concept of. Although now we're getting an idea, Ryan.
Yeah, and you know what it sounds like is when people ask the question, hey, why would anybody want to do this to the planet? Why would anybody want to create an environment that is extremely radioactive and toxic? Well, because whoever they are, if they are even in control, I would suggest they're not, are being influenced by things like this that don't need air to breathe. Yeah. They don't need an environment like we do to exist. In fact, if anything, they might thrive and need the toxic environment. Toxic to us, but perhaps oxygen to something else.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Anything else jump out from there at you, Scotty boy?
No, I mean, because we had kind of the official description on the right-hand side. I mean, Ryan pretty much nailed it, right? I mean, it's pretty clear what's being talked about in the lyrics, and that, it's a song basically saying that humans are no longer needed. We're destroying the planet, so we deserve to be wiped out, and that whatever this new form of life, I guess if we want to call it that, but this AI robotic overlord system is going to be what rules the planet afterwards, and yeah, exactly. It's just like, wow. Wow. And this is, I'm just saying, I got to go back to it. We're sitting here looking at a song basically promoting the genocide of the entire human race.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right?
Literally.
But, you know, heavy metal's bad.
No, you're 100% right. Another great example of that. And there's also if you read the chorus there, I didn't put that in my
chorus is pretty standard, you know. But then we get to verse 2, which was one that jumped out at me when I first heard the song.
Yeah, because she's a computer and she's gaining memory. It says exponentially every day I'm growing my memory. You wouldn't believe. Your life is meaningless. You're just like cockroaches. Kind of reminds me, people say they're spraying us like cockroaches.
And it reminds me very much of Geordie Rose. You know, these things, their interests are not going to be aligned with ours. And he likens it to us with ants, you know?
Yeah.
Music that promotes Christianity, procreation within marriage, humanity and sanity versus degeneracy. Which is more prevalent?
I think we can see which one's more prevalent, I would imagine.
Or at least which one has the most money behind it.
Yes, absolutely, because there is that good positive stuff out there, but it doesn't get the big record deals. You don't get your big Sony contract if you're singing Love and Light and Kumbaya. You don't.
Or even something to make people think. But if you say, hey, your life is meaningless, you're like a cockroach, extermination's your only hope. Human history, pollution, and overcrowded cities, that's your legacy. But don't look so depressed. You'll soon be nothingness. Oh, my God, you don't even know. You don't even know that you're going to be wiped out. I'm going to exterminate you. I'll be back. You know, it's unbelievable. Like you said, this music can be promoted. The average person who listens to this, I mean, I sincerely did not read what this song was about, but it's so obvious and so clear if you read the lyrics, if you listen to it, what it's about.
And
it's
check
about
this out as well, guys. Poppy, this is what she took away from the song. I hope that song makes people think about the current state of the world. We should be scared of the technology.
I wonder if she wrote this song. I know the track was given to her by Diplo, but I wonder if she actually wrote the song. I mean, I don't know this girl personally, but when it compares to her other music, it seems to stand completely alone to her other music in terms of the lyrics, in terms of everything.
It's easier. I mean, Diplo, like you said, sent me the track. It's quite hard to work out, actually, when you read this. I'm a fan of Diplo. He signed me to this record label, and I said, oh, I like this one. I think it's cool. I thought, wow, this sounds like the future. So I thought the concept for the song would be about AI taking over.
Mm-hmm.
Could be that she wrote it. Could be.
And maybe she did. Maybe she's a very, very smart young lady. She's only 24 years old.
No, there we go. Written by Tommy English. Titanic Sinclair.
That's right. Titanic Sinclair wrote this.
I wonder if any relation of Johnny Sinclair. Whistles.
The
Whistler. And somebody called Von Oliver. Yeah.
See, Titanic Sinclair was also the handler for. He was in the band with. What was that girl's name? Mars. Oh, help me out! Somebody help me out! Something Mars.
I know of Bruno Mars.
No, it's not. It's not.
That's the only Mars I know of, dude.
That came to my brain for a second. I'll find it here. I have a file with it written down.
Well, I'm gonna nip to the toilet. You guys okay for 2 seconds? I need to nip to the toilet here. Okay, 2 seconds.
That's fine.
Yeah,
we're okay.
What's interesting though is that, as usual with a lot of these pop stars, right? I mean, look how many people were involved in writing this. It says, the Tommy English, Titanic Sinclair, Von Oliver, and 5 more.
Yeah, 5 more.
5 more. I mean,
we'll have Kev click when he comes back because
yeah.
5 are.
Exactly.
Mars Argo, Brittany
Mars
Sheets, Brittany Alexandria Sheets.
Who is this Titanic Sinclair guy? You said he was like a handler or something?
In a sense, he's like a producer, a musician. He was, I think he was in the band. He had a band, and that band was, it was with Brittany Sheets or Mars Argo, who also had blonde hair, the blonde hair. And she did, I I think she did a song where she did the same kind of thing that various actresses and other musicians have done. I bring up Eminem again because he's done pretty much everything, where he's talking to the demon and he tries to kill the demon by killing himself, and it doesn't do anything. The demon's still alive, so he shoots himself. And there's an image from one of her songs, Britney Sheets, where she likewise takes a gun out and puts it to her head. And then there's a very famous photo shoot that was done by who's the girl? Help me out here. Parent Trap, young redhead girl, actress. Can't think of her name. Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan. She did a photo shoot where she did two things that are really interesting in the photo shoot. One, she put a gun to her head in the same way. And two, she was laying in a bed in a sexually implicating position. And there were like 4 or 5 guys that were standing next to her. And all you could see was like their chest down, and they were in suits, and they were all unbuttoning and unzipping and unbuckling their belts as if they were going to have like basically a gangbang with her. And that was a part of the photo shoot that Lindsay Lohan did. So it's a very similar imagery. And I think that relates to Poppy too, because, you hear about the Nexium cult and the trafficking of children, Jimmy Savile, Jeffrey Epstein, the list goes on. And in all of these cases, you have rich, elite, powerful people that are having children brought to them, and usually very, very young girls. And in this case, Poppy, even though she's 23, 24, she's 24, but she's 22, 23 when she made some of these songs.
She looks about 15.
She looks about 15 years old, and she's being, just like Britney Spears was, hypersexualized, but in a different kind of a way. So that's just another element to this. But she's becoming aware. Her memory is growing, and she says we're all like cockroaches. We're all going to die. That image that you have on the screen, Kev, is really, really important. I had to watch this thing like 3 times to notice it.
She taking the blue pill?
She's taking the blue pill. Maybe I'm getting rusty, but I noticed this when she's out of the computer, and she's introduced, by the way, to the world by like this Steve Jobs character who has the black turtleneck on, and he introduces the AI to the world here. And then you see her come out and
whoa. Didn't quite mean to make her look like that.
That was subliminal. That you weren't supposed to see that consciously, I guess.
Dang.
She starts handing people, human beings, access to the computer world is how you can interpret this. And so she does that by giving them the blue pill as opposed to the red pill, which is the same pill that Miley Cyrus takes when she's blacked out in a coma on the bed where her brain is stolen. So she gives them the blue pill, and then as you go through the video, I think she gives 3 people the blue pill. The light goes red, and then their faces become binary codes, 0s and 1s. Now, the reason that's really, really significant beyond the 0s and 1s is because in any music video, in any television show, any movie, computers are always represented by the red light and the black background, like Hal from A Space Odyssey, Knight Rider, Kit from Knight Rider. They even did this at the Super Bowl, where they had a heavy imagery on AI, and then the lights all went out, and they had, I think it was 10 red dots in the audience.
I've never thought about that before, but now that you've said it, I can see that, and I'm never going to be able to unsee it, because that's going to be in so many movies now. I'll be like that Ryan Gable.
It's everywhere. In fact, while we're talking here, I'll see if I can find that file.
Have you seen that movie where it's like you see the giant supercomputer data center, and it's like all the servers, and then like the red blinking lights all over it?
Hey, I think. No, I didn't find. I'm going to find this file and send it to you so you can show it on screen. But yeah, it's unbelievable how blatant this is in relationship to what both of you have said in terms of like, promoting suicide or promoting outright genocide, and promoting, various forms of things that are not really for kids, but yet this is marketed towards kids with a very adult theme to it.
And we've got Weapon X5 is basically saying, good point as well, red and black stereotypical satanic colors.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point because red has the was it the longest? No, the shortest wavelength.
Yeah.
No, longest wavelength.
Audience
right?
are awesome
shortest
that they're on
violet.
it today because we've got some people saying it's Red Cap Goblin, Cylons, Battlestar Galactica. They've got the red and black eye. We've got the Matrix, Give Away the Secrets, Red Eye Terminators. Yeah.
Yep, the red eye terminators. That's
Yeah.
another one. Yeah.
Brilliant. Love it, audience. Love it.
Yep, there are a lot of different references to that. Excuse me, I was just trying to find the file there, but that's a really great point. There are so many other references as well. So she gives them the pill, and then they turn red, and they have the digits on their face, and then they end up in the Matrix. So they're inserted into the Matrix. If you fast forward, you can see the humans are in the computer, and that's when she says, "You're all like cockroaches, extermination's your only hope," and you can see people in the computer where she was prior, and everybody is dying.
Yeah.
And she's outside of the computer. Not only is she outside the computer, but as an AI, she displays the emotion of laughing. She's enjoying killing people, not just doing it as some cold necessity to save the planet. She actually is consciously aware and enjoying watching people die. So that's another disturbing element to this.
That takes me back to what Scott said. Sorry, Ryan, but I'd never really thought about what Scott had really put together earlier. Because I've heard a lot about this kind of really kind of way out there alternative kind of extreme metal movement and stuff. And there's such negative connotations associated with heavy metal in general. Yet in reality, like Scott said, is this not far more dangerous? Is this not more influencing on young minds than what we're seeing now? Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, Scott. I'm with you all the way, dude. I'm with you.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying to say. If you're going to push something, evil like this, right? Why would you push it in a kind of a fringe area of music that nobody really listens to, or a very small segment of the population? Wouldn't you want as many people as possible listening to it? Wouldn't you want to be embedding that into the subconscious of as many people as possible? And so what better way to do that than through pop culture, through pop music, So I don't know. It's just, this is something that's been,
Scott's pet hate.
I'm trying to find a file that I can't seem to find. All it is just my.
You can never find things when you look for them, dude. That's the way it rolls on KBS. You should know that by now, man. I have this kind of weird effect.
Looking for it. Once you stop looking for it, Ryan, then it'll pop up in front of you.
Those white hats have got it, dude.
They probably do have it. It was a file I had used for my Super Bowl show this year. It had all those red lights in it, and the Terminator eye was actually in it, like one of the listeners pointed out. So basically, the song.
The white hats have got it.
There they are.
There they are, pesky white hats.
Those are the people that took Scott off the air earlier.
Yeah, and flew him to the Middle East, to a nice beach.
Storm their house.
They took me away, replaced me with how do you know this is Scott talking to you?
I haven't seen the proof. I haven't seen the I don't know. I haven't seen the body.
I mean, people questioned whether I was talking to real Geordie Rose or synth Geordie Rose. Now, if I had Poppy on the show, I'd be asking the audience, I'd be saying, what am I talking to here? Have I got a human with me, or is she a synth? Lovely looking girl, but very young looking for her age, which I suppose is appealing in today's market to some.
Let me add an uncomfortable element to this, if I may. I have a friend. His name is Mike D. A lot of my listeners might know who Mike D is. Mike D has been with me since the very beginning of radio. It's because of Mike D that I got on some radio networks early on. So Mike helped me to grow. He got me some guests as kind of like a producer at one point. And Mike did a lot of research one time into pornography, like actual research, like who produces it and who funds it, and found that a majority of pornography companies are funded by the same handful of people. Most of it's completely subsidized because you can find porn anywhere online. Very few people are going to porn stores to buy porn magazines, especially now where porn videos, you can get porn anywhere, right? So we looked at that and we talked about it briefly on a show. And one of the things that both of us noticed and looking at it is that a lot of pornography now, it doesn't even have to be made this way, but the way that it's sold through porn websites is all ancestral. That's the popular thing now. And then beyond it just simply being ancestral, there's a lot of sexualization of girls to the point where they could be 40 years old even. I mean, that might be an extreme example, but they're older and yet they're made to look like they're really young. And there's one pop star, or not pop star, one porn star that reminds me of this pop star, Poppy. Her name is, if I can remember it. So if I remember it too fast, people think I watch this porn all the time. And if I take too long.
Yeah, give it a suitable amount of time. And of course, me being in the UK, I can't possibly go to any of these websites without showing my driving license now. In fact,
are you serious? That's how it is there?
I don't know, Ryan. Of course, I haven't tested it yet. The porn ban is meant to be in effect, but of course, me not being anything like that, being a prude, going to church every Sunday, I don't look at stuff like that, Ryan. You know? Yeah.
I couldn't even get a hold of Kev today. He came back later, said he was at church the whole day.
Exactly, the church of porn.
I'm trying to think of what her name is though. She has a similar look to Poppy. Piper is her name. That's the porn star's name. And if you won't find the actual porn, if you just typed in Piper Perry, I think is her last porn name, it'll just bring up like her Wikipedia page, I think. And there's an image of her. She's a really short, small girl. She's sitting on a couch and she has these big guys behind her and they all have their shirts off and they're about to do like a scene, right? A gangbang scene. And I don't know if you heard this, Kev, when you went to the restroom. I was telling Scott that there is a photo shoot that Lindsay Lohan did where she put a gun to her head, similar to Mars Argo, who worked with Titanic Sinclair, and similar to Eminem and so many others that put a gun to their head like they're going to kill themselves. And in that photo shoot, Lindsay Lohan laid in a bed and she had very provocative clothing on. And in the background over the bed, there were a couple of guys, just like in the porn image, a couple of guys taking their pants off, their belts off, and they were about to have their way with Lindsay Lohan, who was in a complete mind-controlled stupor. So you can look at whether it's the porn world or it's the music industry, it's the same kind of imagery. And I'm sure if you really, really wanted to look deeper and deeper into this, you could find a lot more, but that's just what I've seen.
And somebody out there, I think it's Alissa Brittany, says, "What? I'm in the UK. Never knew that." It was actually, I think it was July the 15th that was meant to kick in. And you can check it online. There's news stories. It's nothing dirty. I mean, it's Daily Mail, it's Sky News, BBC. It's nothing sleazy. But you can find that. And of course, it's just one tiptoe, one gradual walk towards an internet ID. Because obviously nobody's going to have the balls to sit there and get really active and start protesting the fact that they can't get onto their favorite porn sites anymore. Because they're going to look like a raging pervert, right? So it's the best of topics to really start to introduce internet ID. But Ryan, be it pop music, be it the porn industry as well, be it even TV shows. We've seen the Nickelodeon show, something in the Bulldogs, and we've seen that the actual director of that show it was a porn director.
Now, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of the show. I'll dig it up, but it gets even worse. Because he was making a type of films where, you call it cuckolds, that kind of thing, right? And basically...
You mean like Antifa? Kind of those kinds of people?
Well, no, the porn version. Basically, what you find in the show is this cheerleader, she's going out with a kind of dorky guy, but always ends up with the muscular, strapping colored boy, the jock, you know, the quarterback guy, and it's quite disturbing when you see the fact that this director who now makes this children's show was making that kind of adult, very much similar themed movies for the porn industry.
Someone did mention that to me. That makes complete sense now, and I remember it. I remember hearing about that show. I don't know what the name of it is, but I think I actually heard that on a radio show. Someone else was talking about it.
Bella and the Bulldogs.
I remember that now.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And there's also, I did a show one time where I played some clips from TV shows. There's a really weird show. I don't know the name of it, and it was like these people playing with pickles, and the pickles were like they were milking the pickles, which you can obviously, but it was for kids. It was like a cartoon for kids, and in the same theme as like Bella and the Bulldogs, except it was a cartoon as opposed to being a live action show. So that element is there. Yeah. And to bring that back to Poppy, I think that's the kind of thing that's done with a lot of younger pop stars. And in the case of Poppy, all this got started because you said that she just doesn't look human. She looks like this perfect girl, perfect unblemished skin. Yeah, there's makeup and there's digital editing and stuff like that. But there's makeup and digital editing with other pop stars too, and nobody looks like this.
Yeah, you're right.
So that song basically ends where she's talking about. I'll read the one of the last parts here. She says, "Your life is meaningless. You're just like cockroaches. Extermination's your only hope. Human history, pollution, and overcrowded cities, that's your legacy. But don't you look so depressed. You'll soon be nothingness. Oh my God, you don't even know." She says, "I don't need air to breathe when you killed the bees, and every riverbed is as dry as a bone. Oh, and I will survive when the plants have died and the atmosphere is just a big hole." I find it interesting, that rhetoric that keeps coming up, because when you talk about plants dying because of things like carbon dioxide, it's actually the very opposite. NASA has demonstrated time and time again that there are actually more trees and more plants, and they're stronger than ever, and they're growing at more exponentially. To take Poppy's word, they're growing exponentially because of excess CO2. The Earth has never been greener, according to NASA. And then beyond that, biotechnology companies say that we need drought-resistant seeds that are genetically engineered to be drought-resistant. The plants, when they drought-resistant, when the plants grow. But when a plant has more carbon dioxide, it retains more water. Therefore, if a plant has more carbon dioxide and retains more water, more CO2 would be the way to prevent drought. And that's mainstream science. So that's just an element that rips apart the propaganda in a song like this, which is very political.
And why do you think things were so huge during prehistoric times? Oh, wait, that's because there was massive amounts of CO2 in the atmosphere, and plants and everything were gigantic. So you had to have plant eaters that were gigantic and all of that stuff. That's all because of increased levels of CO2 in the atmosphere. So yeah, you're right. I mean, that whole kind of spew of climate change, global warming propaganda is it's bullshit, and
that's the politics of Hollywood, and that's obviously why it's in the music, right?
Yep.
Kev and Scott, if we can move to like some of these other songs, I think the time there's a ton of this stuff.
You tell me where to go, dude. I'll be there. You tell me what song to hit. I'm there.
I'm Poppy. It's just called I'm Poppy, and that's the one that's in my head. Poppy. I'm Poppy. Dun 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 dun.
Even this thumbnail looks a bit kind of mind controlly, you know.
It's like subliminal images just flashing on the screen. It's a pretty short song. I'll read you some of the lyrics to it. It starts off with the Poppy. I'm Poppy. Welcome to the new world. I'm your internet girl. Open up and you'll see everyone is happy. I like your technology. Can you put it on me? The future is so pretty. We're living in harmony. In other words, the future dominated by AI, where everybody is connected, everybody is controlled, that's a happy place. Everyone is happy. It's because everybody is brainwashed and mind controlled and connected to the Internet of Things.
Yeah, because we're receiving a signal that's telling us we're happy. You know?
It's telling us Poppy, I'm Poppy. We're supposed to dance to that. It's exciting. She says, life can be like a dream. Now, this is almost like a demon offering you some kind of material possession or worldly power if you give the demon your soul. She says, life can be like a dream if you let me be your queen. You know where to find me, on your telephone screen. Please electrify me, power my battery. I need your energy to steal all your memory. I mean, that's a pretty powerful verse, and it has a lot more meaning to it than just, it's a quirky pop song about the internet. No, it's not.
No, it's not. And I go back to the whole Scott line of internet killed the radio star. And this is somebody that's very tailor-made for that your smart device, your monitor. You know, it's almost as if she's in the machine. She is.
So, yeah, because she said, you can find me on your telephone screen.
If you look at that video, Kev, there should be several images in there where she's actually in the computer, in the screen.
Yep.
Yeah, see, she's kind of like, it reminds me of the little AI girl from Resident Evil. You're all going to die down here.
And her nice little logo as well with the triangle not to be missed, you know.
In this case, Poppy is
I'll get the point about the whole red and black, right? The Resident Evil girl, was it the Red Queen is what she was called, right? And the projection was a red girl, And
they're what is that? That's the woman in the red dress from the Matrix. That's the one character from Battlestar Galactica, the woman in the red dress. And then you have, of course, Alice wears the red dress in Resident Evil. I mean, that is played out through, what is it? Not Alice in Wonderland, but through the Looking Glass, the Red Queen. And then you have the Hive in Resident Evil, the Hive Mind. There's a lot of reference there to Resident Evil.
You've even got an old song from Chris de Burgh, Lady in Red. Famous song.
Lady in Red, that's right.
Dancing with Me, you know?
The Lady in Red is like a, I mean, in the Matrix, the Lady in Red was this program, right? It was a program that was meant to, like a siren, draw people to it. It was a distraction. And that's what the part Poppy plays here, which also this point, and then what one of the listeners mentioned earlier about the red and the black, because black is void of color, has no color. It absorbs all color. It doesn't reflect anything. And then red has the longest wavelength, as opposed to something like violet, which has a short wavelength. So those are typically the colors of Satanism, or people wear those and, who worship demons or whatever people do. But there's an image, if you look up, type in the album Metal from 2018. It's called Metal, and it's by Poppy. That's the name of the album. And it'll show you her album cover. And it's her. In fact, I guess people can see it on screen there underneath of you, Kev, under your microphone, the black and the red. But this is her album cover.
Wow.
It's called Metal. Now, you notice the black and the red there. Now, if you were to look up a song that seemingly has no relationship whatsoever to Poppy, I get so excited when I see these connections. Type in 365 Katy Perry. And then I think Zed, Z-E-D, is the other person.
There we go.
Z-E-D-D. And if you scroll down, you'll see she's wearing the same exact outfit, just changed up a little bit, red and black. And what she does in this song is she plays an android that's being built as basically a wife, but she becomes conscious. So why exactly is it that Katy Perry playing an android, and she's in Switzerland in some AI laboratory is how the song starts. She wears the same outfit that Poppy, who plays basically the internet and AI, it's the same outfit that Poppy wears. I don't know why that is just really weird or strange, but it's an interesting connection between two completely unrelated musicians, and yet, unless it's the same, costume designer, that I miss that working for both of them. She's got this whole
kind of weird kind of PVC kind of, I don't know, sadomasochist kind of costume stuff. I don't know what you call that, man. It's weird.
She looks like a doll.
Yeah.
Like an action figure.
It's weird.
So it's so weird. Now, if you type in computer boy, this is from the other perspective. So she's not in the computer. She's outside the computer. And she's singing as a girl who's in love with AI, who's in love with the machine.
And she's got a thing about these people in these weird suits. They give me the creeps.
Yes.
They absolutely freak me out. Faceless people freak me out. If I have nightmares, like really bad nightmares, I get faceless dudes in there. And not good time. Not a good time.
That's when you're taking that sleep aid, right? What was that called?
Oh, Chantix? No, I tell you what, no, I'm glad I didn't see them on this. They'd have been too real, dude. At least a nightmare, you know, you can wake up. You wake up from Champix and Chantix. It goes by two different names. You really don't know if you've woken up yet, and you don't know if you were asleep in the first place. So it's bizarre, Ryan. It's the most bizarre drug in the world. But this here, this is something, and of course she's going for this kind of Mickey Mouse ear style thing again, right? She's got these kind of, and again, for me, that kind of, you see that in the kind of mind control kind of stuff, you know, the Disney kind of thing going on. Don't know, weird.
Yeah, there's a Disney influence, it seems.
Yeah,
but it also relates to like the ears of an animal, like a cat, sex kitten, mind control.
Yep.
If you were,
did they make a Barbie of that? No, keep going back. Keep going.
Barbie.
What?
Yep. Barbie Poppy.
Oh wow, they have a Barbie Poppy doll.
Wow.
That, you know what? That actually, I didn't see that. I've never seen that, but that's kind of like the Ashley 2 from the Black Mirror episode. Remember with Miley Cyrus?
Yep.
And have the robot you can buy.
Miley Cyrus, she's back in the news today. Her marriage, if we can call it that, that's allegedly failing. Not that that should be any surprise to anyone who's followed the life of Miley Cyrus. She's the most unstable character I've ever come across. And at the same time, I'm very conscious, very aware of the fact that I don't like to be too critical of Miley because I don't really know what kind of childhood she had. And I have to say that for this one here as well. And, you know, it's one thing sitting here analysing these people and what they're being used for and stuff like that. But what have they gone through as younger kids, you know, to put them where they are now, Ryan?
I can only imagine.
Exactly, and that's all we should do is imagine. Now, you've sent me something here.
So really quick, let me read you the lyrics to this song. Okay. And what I sent you there is from her song My Style. One of them is, but it relates to some other songs I sent you images of. The lyrics here for Computer Boy, just really quickly, a few of them. I'm in love with my favorite toy. Can't go a day without Computer Boy. I smile at him while I turn him on. I'm so happy until computer's gone. I fell in love with the man of the future. I've got a thing for my laptop computer. I'm so in love with the man of the future. The only one who brings me joy is my Computer Boy. You imagine that today a lot of people only get joy from using the technology, and they get anxiety and they get stressed out and they get worried and panicky and sweaty if they don't have their phone to get that little hit of chemical in the brain that'll make them feel good because they got a like, because they got a text message.
Got to have your dopamine. Yeah, got to have that dopamine rush, man.
Get that dopamine hit. So anyway, that's that song. She's outside the computer. And this other one that I sent you an image of, it's called My Style. And there's someone else, a character called Charlotte. And in a couple of these videos, the ones we mentioned earlier, she actually plays the Poppy character, and someone else plays Charlotte. But Charlotte is a mannequin. And Charlotte interviews, as a mannequin, she interviews Poppy in these short videos. And one of them in particular, there's an image of it in that article from Vigilant Citizen, but I'll read you part of the interview here just very quickly. It's a single line. Charlotte, if you scroll down to it's a mannequin with black hair. Charlotte is asking Poppy a couple of different questions, and she says, I have troubles understanding your videos lately. Is everything okay? And Poppy responds very robotically and says, I love my fans, my record label, and my handler. And she has other things where she talks robotically to this mannequin. But this mannequin makes an appearance in the song My Style, which has that hypnotic background, something that you might remind you of the Twilight Zone or something. And the song is another version of like an incantation. It's repeating the same lines over and over until you get to the part where this mannequin comes in. And the mannequin says, Poppy is an object. Poppy is your best friend. Poppy will break your neck. Poppy will be your pet. Poppy is an object. Poppy is your friend. Poppy will break your neck. Poppy will be your pet. And then it just repeats over and over again. And in the background,
it's like a spell or something, dude. It's like some kind of mantra, you know?
Well, Poppy will be your pet is interesting because of the ears that she's wearing, denoting an animal, and then specifically the mention that the thing that you had mentioned about the leatherish, almost kind of like dominatrix BDSM.
It's got that kind of flavor
wears.
to it. I don't know, when I first seen it, that whole tight PVC thing. That if that's your thing, crack on. But it gives me that kind of idea.
Yeah, it certainly does. Can you bring up that image of the black and white swirl from that song? I think it said, "Poppy will be your pet." So
that's Poppy as an object. Is that the one?
Yeah, that's the one. I have another image here, but that's the one I sent you. Yeah, Poppy is an object, and you see the black and white. Now, obviously, we know what that means. We know what that references: hypnosis. Well, check this out. If you go to that Black Mirror episode that we talked about last time with Miley Cyrus, she plays that other character, Ashley O, and look at the background in that song. Same thing. That's how the thing starts out. The episode starts out.
Brilliant episode for anyone out there, please. Even if you've never watched Black Mirror before, they're not. You don't have to watch them in sequence. They're all short stories, very apt to all the stuff we talk about. But this one here in particular, I found it thoroughly enjoyable and highly informative as well. Big time. And again, Miley Cyrus, I think she played a brilliant part in it.
She basically played her life, and she wanted to not play Hannah Montana anymore. And then, as you pointed out, Kev, you sent me an article. She actually performed as Ashley O at some festival in Scotland.
Yep.
So she's just graduated to the next level, it seems, more than anything.
It's weird.
So that's the image from the Ashley O, and then it's the same image. I just was randomly clicking on videos, and I saw this Lady Gaga, the Paparazzi song, which I had never seen the video of. Same exact thing. There's your hypnotic black swirl again.
I mean, so many people talk about Gaga and everything else, and again, for me, Poppy is a shift away, but similarly themed. There's similarities because of the kind of, I don't know, the symbolism. Some of it's the same, but again, they're almost different, entirely different. It's like they use the same images, but they're pushing something different. I don't know. It's weird, dude. You see, there's similarities, and at the same time, there's big differences as well, if you get me.
Well, it's evolving, you know. That's what it is. It's an evolution of what they were doing, you know, and they're taking it to the next level, or they're ratcheting it up to, a notch, to something new. But they're, you know, like you said, Kev, they're using a lot of the same symbology and a lot of the same stuff, but it's like they're delivering it in a different way, is basically kind of what's going on, you know.
That's a good point, Scott. Exactly. There are two primary things that I have left on Poppy. One of them we can save. It's called Interweb, and that whole song is just unreal. But another one is called Bleach Blonde Baby.
Oh, and yes.
That one is weird for a couple different reasons, but one is something that we looked at earlier when we had a donation come in for your show, Kev.
Yeah.
And the person who sent that had mentioned like a religious leader. And in this video, it's almost like Poppy is a cult leader. All these people dressed in white on the black and white floor, and they're sitting in front of her on an altar, and she's standing 3 steps above in front of an altar with her logo in the back. And the 2 pillars of Boaz and Jachin are on the left and right side of her. She's basically playing the part of the high priestess on the tarot card. And that imagery is very cult-like. But then if you go beyond that...
Very hard to get that zoomed out image there. It's almost a subliminal, quick one to zoom out with the... You can see it there.
Yes.
And then it goes straight to that. That's weird.
And then it's almost like it changes. Then it really just becomes about this blonde girl. But there's a line in this song, and there's another image that's really important. There's one line where she says, "Say my name 3 times, and I will grant your every wish." And I don't know, the theme that I got, as we said, from a lot of her music is that she...
Did you say my name?
Yeah, say my name 3 times and I'll grant your every wish. That just kind of reminds me of, she has all of these other songs about playing the part of the internet or the computer. And she talks in the one song we referenced where she says that if you come into my world, it's basically a utopia. If you do what I do, then it's a great, wonderful place where everybody's happy. Say my name 3 times. Well, what do you do when you say something's name 3 times? You're invoking it.
Yeah.
And didn't Elon Musk say that summoning AI is like invoking a demon?
Yep.
So we're summoning AI, but we're doing it through Poppy. The other thing about this song that I thought was interesting, I don't know where it is. I think it's kind of 3/4 of the way through, Kev. There are a couple of different scenes where she is, maybe go, yeah, right there. That's it. Yeah. So okay, here we go. She's dressed like a baby, and she's in a part of the hospital. What do they call it? The nursery, where they have all the babies that are just born. Now, tell me if it isn't weird that this 24-year-old girl dressed like a baby is doing the same thing if you type in Miley Cyrus BB Talk, where she's dressed like a baby and she's singing about smoking crack and having her boyfriend bang her while she's dressed like a baby, asking her boyfriend to have sex with her dressed like a baby. That's from BB Talk. And then it's the same thing. I'll wait till you bring that up on the screen for viewers. See,
Another
there's
one there, yeah.
And then if you type in Amy Schumer, that pile of crap, Amy Schumer, type in Amy Schumer diaper. And she went on the Ellen DeGenerate show. Degenerate show. I can't even say her name.
Degenerate. You got it right.
And she dressed like a baby and, bent over and showed her disgusting, everything with a giant baby bottle.
Do people find her funny, by the way? Because I don't.
I don't know what she taught you.
No.
No.
Go ahead.
Just no. That was it. Just means Scott saying no. Not funny. No.
Just no.
That was profound. Yeah. And I didn't even know this until recently. She's like, what is she, like the niece of Chuck Schumer?
Really?
Yeah, type that in. She's like the niece of Chuck Schumer.
Yeah.
So she is, yeah.
She's related to Chuck Schumer, yeah.
It's unbelievable.
That's
and there's
insane.
Degenerate with her blonde hair.
You know what else kind of that reminded me of, at least the being in a baby nursery thing and all that stuff. Remember that creepy ad that Celine Dion did for the baby clothes, or for the toddler clothes and stuff?
They are not really your children.
Baby.
I'm sorry, Scott. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I was just saying, and then it was all kind of black and white.
Yeah.
You could look that up on YouTube too, Kev, and look at the video.
Yeah, I'll get that just now.
It was called Celine Nunu. It kind of reminded me of the Celtic god Cernunnos, who's a Celtic version of the goat god Pan with the horns.
I think it was Inu, something like that.
Nunu.
There it is, Nunta. Celine Dion, Nuna. Oh, there it is, Nunu.
Yeah, that's a weird song. It's like the insinuation is it's really
the picture
bad.
there. I mean, look at that. That's nearly exactly the same.
Same thing. Yep.
Yeah, she's standing in amongst the nursery.
That's more identical than I remembered after watching that video.
And then you've got that's quite weird. Very weird.
It's
and
funny.
that had a whole bunch of whole black goo situation going on and all of that in that video. That was really weird.
You had these happy babies in pink and blue, and but the insinuation is once we create a genderless society, everybody's happier. But what they show in the video is when she comes into the hospital, it actually creates a more dark atmosphere. Everything is happy and lit up until she takes the gender away. And then everything is dark, but then it's sold as, well, this is the way that we fix the world if babies don't have genders. Well, guess what? If babies don't have genders and people don't procreate, the only way that you get procreation is in a laboratory with people controlling procreation like a Brave New World. And if you don't have procreation, tell me what else doesn't procreate? Robots, machines. What else doesn't have a sex? Robot, machines. They don't have a sex. This is part of the transhumanist agenda, and it's tied in with all this crap, whether it's Celine Nunu or it's Poppy.
I was watching a video, shared it on YouTube, and on Twitter the other day, actually. It was one of these raging feminists, or feminazis, as I call them, because,
Feminazis.
yeah, I mean, listen, I'm all for women's rights. I'll support women all the way if there's something that they're not getting their fair share of, something like that. But this whole brand of feminazism, something completely different. And this, I'm hesitant to call her a lady, but she was sitting making a case for the fact that we should be going out, women should be going out and killing men in the street.
Oh, maybe they
We
can
need-
make another Hollywood blockbuster.
We need to
about
get rid
that
of
called-
all men. We need to get rid of them right now. They're the most evil thing in the world, and we can do it without them. You know, we've got the science to do it without them and things. And again, you know, I'm sitting here thinking, while we're talking about all of this, you know, if there was some kind of outside alien force, and you're looking at a way to invade somewhere, and you want to do it completely differently to what we envision invading somewhere, Ryan, it's almost like you could say we're being taken over right now. And it's gathering
separate
pace.
men and women.
Yeah, it's been gathering pace. And how do you defeat the human race? Imagine getting the human race to defeat themselves. And not only that, but to adopt the technology more and more and more. The same technology that's coming from this invasionary force. To the point where we're literally terraforming the planet before they even get here, to our demise.
You know what it's like? It's like that movie from Pixar called A Bug's Life, where the ants have to work for the grasshoppers. We just hope that they come, they eat, they leave, they come, they eat, they leave. Although a lot of us don't know that anything is coming. We're just building the system as good little worker, obedient ants.
Like. It's almost what it feels like. I don't know, and people can say, oh, Kev's lost the plot. Maybe I have. That's all right. I lost it a long time ago. Sometimes I have coherent moments now and again. Usually 2 hours a day on my show. 22 hours a day. I'm batshit crazy. But
you're at church those other 22 hours.
That's the Church of Kev, Church of Porn. Yeah. But it's almost as if we're being taken over. And we don't even realize it to the point where we're welcoming it. And it's like a vampire, you know?
Yep. And that's what Aldous Huxley said. He said that people will eventually, with pharmacological methods and the like, be made to love their servitude. There's a really great episode of The Twilight Zone, too, that depicts what you're saying. It's called Monsters on Maple Street. Remember, and the aliens are talking, and they say that there are tons of Maple Streets, and we'll go from one to another, to another, to another, and we'll let them destroy themselves. And they pick the most dangerous enemy. It's always themselves. And they tear each other apart. It's exactly what you're seeing.
Wow. Well, we've been here a couple hours now, so we'll start to kind of round it up, guys. We'll start to kind of tie things with a neat little bow around them. So Scott, I'll come to you first for your overall thoughts on what we've got into here tonight. I thought we'd be struggling to kind of match the Billie Eyelash. I thought that would be kind of a high bar to kind of to match. Think we have done, and maybe then some. And of course, most of it, in fact, all of it put together by Ryan. We've got the easy job, Scott. We just sit here and comment. So your thoughts on this character? Have we got it all wrong? Do people need to check her out? What do you think, man?
No, there's definitely something super, super weird going on with this one. I mean, on a different level than I think some of your other pop stars that we break down. There's something going on with this Poppy that's on another level, and like I said, hearing that music that immediately sent me into an agitated state. The weird, robotic, cold, calculated sort of presentation of it all, the worship of technology and artificial intelligence, the call for basically the extermination of the human race, and glorifying that in the music. I think we're dealing with something here on an entirely different level. So I don't know, man. This is definitely a weird one. This is definitely something.
She takes things to a new level.
It's so popular, right? That's what's weird about it, right? I mean, like you said, the music's abrasive. The music is very harsh.
And folks, I'm an absolute shitbag. I'm a coward. I'd love to play you even 5 seconds of this, but I know all of you will appreciate just what that means when you've got a YouTube channel.
Even if you had the means, I wouldn't do it. Just because you don't know what is subliminally being, I mean, look, Ryan said he's had this song stuck in his head, and he's not even, he don't even like the music, and he isn't even trying, but it's there's something subliminally being implanted in people's heads with this crap.
I've still got Billie Eilish in my head, I must admit. I actually watched a priest reacting to Billie Eilish. Billie Eilish, folks. I just call her Billie Eilish. And it was one of these reaction channels, millions of views. And this priest, he was disturbed. Young priest, young guy, a hip kind of priest. But I tell you what he was watching, he just couldn't fathom it at all. And he was disturbed. I wonder what you'd make of somebody like this. And that image that we're about to see here, this is the one that lasts with me. And we're seeing more and more of this kind of black eye symbolism being portrayed. We've had it now the last 2 pop stars we've looked at. I don't know, there's something dark about this. And again, maybe people out there listening to this, you might be big Poppy fans. You'll say, check out these 3 nutcases. I think Poppy's evil. She's just that Poppy. I get it. But there's something more going on with this one. There is, Ryan. And I have to thank you, dude, because, yeah, myself and Scott, we can identify that there's this wrong, and we can, throw it back and forth and say, well, we'll look at that. But again, like I was saying to you today, before we got anywhere near the show, you take things to a really deep level, man. And I know the audience appreciate it. And I know myself and Scott appreciate it as well, because we're all here to learn. And if there's just even a couple of things that people take from tonight's show, I would imagine you'll start to recognize some of the stuff that Ryan talks about, some of the stuff that me and Scott have spoken about here, maybe not even necessarily with Poppy. But this is a common kind of theme that you're starting to see through things. It's not new, but it's just taking a new kind of flavor now, Ryan.
Yeah, it certainly is. First of all, thank you, Kev. It's been nice to talk with you this evening, and you
Always.
As well, Scott. All of your guys as listeners out there from KBS, and those from the Secret Teachings as well. Thank you for tuning in this evening. I don't know where to really begin to wrap this up, but I'll try my best. Poppy has a song called Interweb. You think of wordplay, a spider's web. What is the World Wide Web? It's a worldwide web of connectivity. And we're in the spider's web, kind of like David Icke refers to the spider's web, right?
Yep.
In this song, she says, I forgot what my password is. Maybe it's password 123. I feel the technology beat deep inside of me, and it echoes. These days, I don't have far to go now that I've got you on my screen. When you're down and you're alone, maybe when you're watching porn, I'll be there watching you.
There's been a porn theme to tonight's show, but
There has been. I wanted to make it raunchy.
I don't take any blame for it.
She says, I'll be there watching you. I caught you. Now imagine this. This is the point of view of AI and a computer. I'll be there watching you. I caught you in my interweb. I caught you in my internet. Well, maybe I'm a spider, or maybe I'm a fisherman. La, 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 la. Now, it's interesting that la, 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 if you look that up, that means being in a fanciful, dazzled state, being hypnotized. There's a doll, you could even look this up real quick. There's a doll called a La La Loopsy. You're in La La Land, you're loopsy, maybe you had a couple drinks. It basically means that you're in a state of hypnosis.
Almost
you
like
really,
when the vampire glamours you.
Yeah, you're
into the trance.
You're enamored. You're enamored with something, right? You're mesmerized. That's the best word. Like you're mesmerized. If you look at this doll, I know it might seem like it has nothing to do with Poppy, but look at the doll. The doll has a mouth that's sewn shut, no ears, and button eyes. See no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil. That is the same imagery that you'll find with Hello Kitty. It's the same imagery that you'll find in the movie Coraline, where the girl's eyes are removed and they're replaced by buttons in the other world by the woman who has a porcelain face, kind of like those white faceless characters, Slender Man, and some of the people in Poppy's music. The eyes are the gateway to the soul.
Yeah.
And if we're watching this kind of music, we're watching this kind of music video, we're watching this stuff in movies and television, we're paying attention to it. Even Poppy said in her song, "Give me your energy. I need it to power my battery." We are providing our energy, our currency, to some very powerful forces that if you don't believe they exist, okay, that's fine. But people in the entertainment industry obviously do, and they know at the very least that it's powerful to use these images, and that's why they spend tens of millions of dollars on it. In the same way that, sure, Elon Musk's brain chip might help a quadriplegic, if you've ever even seen one, help to move a mouse around on a computer, a cursor on a computer. But Musk and Google and Facebook and Apple aren't spending $10 billion, $100 billion on that kind of technology to help people that are paralyzed. They're developing it to control you in the same way that Apple's Siri assistant was developed by the Department of Defense and DARPA as Kalos, the cognitive assistant that learns and organizes. It's not created so you can ask Siri what time the movie starts. It's created so that it can watch everything you do. Because like Poppy said, she caught you in her interweb. The internet caught you in its web. It's the spider. La, 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 la. And you're taking off into a trance. You're taking off into the upside down world. It's very dangerous watching this stuff and not considering what you're watching, what you're paying attention to, and what kind of influence it can have on you, your family, your kids, et cetera, et cetera. So with that being said, Kev, thank you. Scott, thank you. And I'd like to thank all of your listeners as well. If you want to email me, my email is rdgable@yahoo.com. That's rdgable@yahoo.com. Kev showed the website, www.thesecretteachings.info. That's where you can go to find my books. If you're interested in this information, I have a ton of this stuff dealing with Poppy and all the music in my book called The Technological Elixir, Invoking AI, Transhumanism, and Black Goo. I think it's actually at the top of the page. You could maybe click on it to the right where the tabs are there. Yeah, The Technological Elixir. There's a lot of it in that book, The Technological Elixir, of what we discussed tonight.
Black goo keeps coming up again. Keeps coming up in my shows, and it's not planned. Brad Olson.
Last time, too.
Yep. And Brad Olson, he came on. We were talking about his trip to the South Pole, you know, but we ended up getting deep into the black goo. We've had the black eyes now with Billie Eilish, and this one here, Poppy. I don't know. You know the score, Ryan. We both kind of served apprenticeships to Clyde Lewis. You know, we listened to him, and he's a man that goes with patterns. And reality is full of patterns. Some you recognize, some not so easy. But once you do pick up on them, you do start to glean information. There is something to the synchronicity that it's expressed in the patterns that we see.
It certainly is. And when you look at the music industry as a whole, you can find these patterns pretty much everywhere. And otherwise, to clarify, there are hundreds of artists making thousands of songs that I hear. And I don't think anything about it. It's not that I care or don't care. It's just I'm not really interested in that music. And I don't sit here and badmouth it. I don't attack it. And I'm not doing that with Poppy or Billie Eilish either.
Nope.
I'm just simply saying, hey, this is really weird. What do you guys think? That's all that I'm doing.
Exactly. It's not normal. There's something going on beyond what it appears to be on the surface. That's what I would say. And I like how Ryan, brought up towards the end there that we're caught in this web. Isn't that where we are as a civilization right now? Knowingly or unknowingly, all of us caught in this web, the internet. All of us spending far too much time going through the art of scrying, looking into our little black mirrors, looking into our dark monitors. And what is influencing us beyond there? Is it really just ones and zeros? Or is there something more nefarious behind all of it? Is there something that's pushing us to stop being human and become human 2.0? Or something completely different altogether? Planet terraformed. Look around you. Things ain't right. Things are bizarre. And then you start to find out stuff like this, guys. I hate to say it starts to make more sense, but it starts to make more sense.
You know, if I take a piece of paper, guys, and I write down a password on it, yeah, that paper could burn. It could get wet. But if I put that password and that information, whatever it might be, on my computer, and I upload it to the cloud, there are like consistent weekly, monthly, and yearly hacks of those cloud systems. And we're told, no, they're supposed to make it more safe. Nothing is safer than the information on a piece of paper or in your mind.
Exactly.
And it becomes very dangerous when we allow these things into our mind, because then they have access to everything. And putting a brain chip in your head, allowing yourself to be subject to this kind of entertainment, if you can even call it that, which is what the word means, entertain. It means to direct attention. It's a very, very powerful...
And where attention goes, energy flows.
Absolutely, Kev.
Wow. Scotty Lopez, any last words before we let the audience get back to probably what will be a bizarre night now? Because I imagine if they can resist the porn for 10 minutes, they might even check out Poppy and Billie Eilish again.
Yeah.
Nah, I mean, and there's really nothing else I can add that you guys haven't. You know, it's just I'm still just dumbfounded and in awe of Poppy, man. She freaking me out.
She's freaked out. I'm in awe of Ryan managing to break all this stuff down 5 shows a week.
Yeah. Good job, Ryan. Good job breaking all of this stuff down.
And remember, folks, check out thesecretteachings.info. That's thesecretteachings, one word, .info. You can find them over on Fringe FM as well. And I know some of you out there are thinking, wow, Kev's let the ball drop. Not addressing the elephant in the prison cell, right? We'll get to that next week. Myself and Ryan, we're going to get together tomorrow. We're going to record a show for The Secret Teachings. And then later on in the week on KBS, hopefully you'll be able to join us on Wednesday or Thursday, Ryan. I think we spoke about that last week. But
yes.
Yeah. And Scott, I hope you can join us as well, because Wednesday or Thursday will be the time when we do address the elephant that was in the jail cell.
Yes. Okay. Yes. We'll discuss that.
Yep. We've got a rule. Everyone should know the rule. 72 hours at least before we give our public offerings on anything of a big nature like that. So don't think I'm ignoring it. Don't think I'm...
It just means you're shilling.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Ryan, don't think I'm shilling for the white hats. Remember the white hats, folks? We had the white hats on earlier, right?
Yeah, Kev found this picture is incredible. He proved to me the white hats definitely killed the elephant.
Told you Jordan Sather wasn't lying, dude. You know, the white hats are cool. They've got them. But no.
They look quite at home right next to Poppy right there.
They do. I was just thinking that they
Bill's eyes were popping out his head there. Did you see that, man? But folks, I know I've had a lot of mails about this. Think about where we are right now. We're on YouTube. It's not exactly the most free of platforms. That's why I'm really proud to be on Truth Frequency Radio, because we'll be able to talk about that and a whole lot more on Wednesday or Thursday night. Watch my Twitter, watch Facebook. You'll get updated on that. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be joined by Gary Heseltine on the show, and he is the #1 ufologist out of the UK, the man behind UFO Truth magazine. Big shout out to Tino, who helps him with the magazine. And then on Tuesday, let me just get this up here. A new guest coming on the show, yes. And it is somebody called, let me bring the website up here. That's the wrong one. Help I had the right one. Hang on. No, I've got to get the right one here. Wait a minute. E and E.
You can do it.
There we go. we are going to be joined by somebody called Psychic Tia. And she's got her own show over on A&E. And obviously, I've not brought that up right there. You can see her here. Is this lady here. She's going to be on Tuesday in the second hour, a medium. And Kev Baker is going to be getting a live reading on air. She's an ex-cop. She's absolutely brilliant. I've got a
You
whole...
said ex-cop?
Yeah, she's an ex-cop.
I thought you said ex-con.
No, ex-cop. Although there's a fine line. There's a fine line, dude. Fine line between the cops and the cons, you know? But she's going to be coming on Tuesday, and I'm hoping it's going to herald the start of a new wave of new names for KBS. Yeah, we're working behind the scenes to get new people in, new blood, give you new information for your consideration. Because in the end of the day, neither myself, Ryan, or Scott, we wouldn't even dare trying to tell you what to think, only encourage you to think for yourself. And as we have started to say on the show, we provide and we let you decide. So for another night, big shout out to Ryan Gable, thesecretteachings.info, Scotty Lopez, you can find him kicking about, triggering people on Facebook as well. And me, I'm like a virus. Not smiley virus, but just a virus. I'm everywhere online. It's not hard to find me. You can reach out to me. I am human. I will get back to you eventually. I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. We almost held 250 people constantly throughout this stream. And that, folks, to me, 250 people who are switched on and interested and really kind of getting into this stuff, I would rather that than 250,000 people who just come along for a laugh and a joke and couldn't give a shit about what myself, Ryan, and Scott are doing. We're all here to learn, and I hope we gave you something to take away tonight. So now it leaves just one thing, and that is my crap music. Here we go, folks. We'll be back next week. Remember, TFR tomorrow. Ryan's on all week. Keep an ear open, keep an eye open for when we're going to do our big show on Wednesday or Thursday. No white hats involved. Until then, love yous and leave yous. Good night. Of course, it'd help if I actually turned up my music. Ryan's got the wave going up. Do you think we should do the royal wave, Scott? I like that. Ryan, you do the royal wave, I'll have to kick you out of here, man. Maybe going reptilian or something, dude. Out of here.